Hey, what's up, everyone? Kino here, and I wanted to make another kind of short little video about some news that I saw recently. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge fan of the NBC sitcom Community. It's a show that ran for 6 seasons across a number of different networks. It was canceled two or three times, I guess, depending on how you count it. It's a show that is a cult classic. You know, it was never like a ratings hit, but among the fans, it was considered to be one of, if not the greatest sitcoms of all time. I actually did a video on it. It's one of the earlier videos from my channel. It was kind of a defense of the fourth season, which is considered to be the worst season of the show. And it was actually my biggest video for a while. I remember when I got 4,000 views on it. I was like, oh my god, because up until that point, my videos were getting less than 100 views a video. So that was really cool when that one came out. And then later on, I did the Sopranos video, and the channel took off after that. But I have a love for this show. And we just got some news about it. It's sort of news, but it gave me an excuse to talk about the show again, and so I really want to do this. The show has a running gag, I guess you'd call it, called 6 Seasons in a Movie. It was a reference to the show The Cape, which was another show. They're talking about that show, but it was also like a reference to themselves too. And so fans have taken up the cry that like 6 seasons in a movie, meaning the show Community would run for 6 seasons and then would do a movie to kind of wrap everything up. And whenever Community got canceled, because it got canceled after the 4th season, it got canceled after the 5th season. And then after Yahoo bought the franchise and put on their streaming service, and then Community kind of killed their streaming service, it got, I guess you'd call it canceled. It just, there was no desire to make a season 7 or anything. And I think fans were very much happy with that, keeping to the 6 seasons concept. But ever since the show wrapped up, like a number of years ago now, fans have been desperately waiting for when the movie was going to come out, because obviously 6 seasons in a movie, you got to have the movie to wrap everything up. Now, Dan Harmon has stated in many times that he definitely wants to do the movie, but he had no like concrete plans on when they do it, mainly because his cast, had all gone to different places. Obviously, during the run of Community, Donald Glover, who played the character Troy, and Yvette Nicole Brown, who played Shirley, both left the show to go do their own things. And so, getting them back, getting all of the stars together in one place to film a movie is very difficult. A lot of them went on to have very successful careers afterwards. Alison Brie, who played Annie, is in a number of different things. Joel McHale, Danny Pudi, it's unclear whether they'll have Pierce back or not, given how things ended. He left the show too, actually. They wrote him off as like a death. But there's hints that he might still be alive. He left the show due to differences, very, very personal differences with Dan Harmon. Which, I mean, that's a topic for a whole other thing. But getting everyone together, aside from Pierce, who probably will not come back, would be a very difficult thing to do. But there's been some recent articles, one with Alison Brie. I think she was the first one to kind of admit that like there's discussions about the movie happening, like she said, concrete discussions. Now that doesn't mean that like, okay, the movie's contract signed, movie's gonna happen, but it's not just like the way she said it kind of implies it's not just oh yeah, we should do that one day. It was like, oh, can we actually do this? Can we put money towards this? Can we do whatever? She said like the pieces are moving. So again, nothing concrete yet. It absolutely cannot happen still. Movies like fail in development many, many times, and this isn't even in development yet. It sounds like it's just the beginning of, setting up something, but it sounded like she was pretty excited about it. And so I think it could really happen. Yvette Nicole Brown said the same thing. She kind of reiterated what Allison said. Pretty much everyone who's been a part of that show has said some way that they would come back for the movie. The one person who was always iffy whether they'd come back or not was Donald Glover. He really wanted to branch out from the kind of role he had been cast in up until that point and wanted to do something else, won his music career, and then he obviously now has the hit show Atlanta that is going to take up most of his time, I imagine. But during COVID, they had a table read like over Zoom, and they all came back together again. I think it was to raise money for charity. And even Donald, I think during that video said like, yeah, he'd come back for the movie. These guys are all friends. They all love each other. With the exception of Pierce, but, for all of them, like, I really do think they consider themselves kind of family. I'm not saying they're all best friends and they talk all the time, but, this was their kind of early start for most of their careers. Again, Pierce had his own career before this, which, is why maybe he didn't fit in as well in the group. I'm excited. I really hope this comes together. And in some way, if this little video I'm making can in any way encourage people to voice their support for the movie, or maybe someone who is influential to this process might come across this or something. I don't know. They might Google like community movie and just see what the public discourse is about. If any of that can happen, I'd consider this video, successful. Like, I really, really, really want this movie to happen. I'm not just speaking for myself. Literally, you can ask any single Community fan how desperately they want this. Community was, without a doubt, one of, if not the greatest sitcoms of all time. Like, better than The Office, 100%. Better than Parks and Rec. It was so smart. It launched Dan Harmon's career, and he would go on, obviously, to do, Rick and Morty, which is another critically acclaimed, genre-defying comedy series that revolutionized, I'd say, the comedy animation. Community didn't quite have that impact on the sitcom that Rick and Morty did, but I still love it even more than Rick and Morty. As good as that show is, like, this show just has such heart and soul that we really, really need to get this movie. Now, the question, of course, is, will it be good? The Sopranos movie is something I wanted for a long time, and that didn't turn out as good as I think it could have. So the question is, like, will we get the movie, but it'll be like, oh, maybe you should have left it there. Because a lot of fans even feel that way about seasons 5 and 6, as they were losing cast members, or hemorrhaging them, as Dean Pelton said. A lot of fans were like, oh, Community's not as good as it used to be. Season 6 especially, after they lost, Shirley too. It was like people were like, oh, this is not the Community that I remember. It felt different. It was on Yahoo. And even the ending of the show dealt with all the characters leaving to go someplace else. And it reflected that, like, yeah, they were all ready at that point to move on to other things in their career. But if they were able to do that storyline and bring them all together again and been like, yeah, we all went off and had our own lives, and years later we're going to come back to Greendale, and tie it all together again, I think it could be a really, awesome thing, the earliest concept that I remember Dan Harmon ever talking about for the movie was in between like seasons 5 and 6. Basically, all the one of the seasons would open with like them coming back from summer break, because it takes place at a community college, and them being like, we can never talk about what happened during our summer break ever. And they never actually say what happens, but we're led to believe it was something like traumatic, and and now that summer vacation would have been the premise of the movie. That was just an off the cuff idea that he had in one of his interviews. Obviously didn't happen because, as of the series finale, many of them had graduated, moved on to different things. Like, at the end, it was, the few characters who were still left there were like, yeah, are we, we're going to have to deal with the fact that a lot of our friends are moving on and some of us are going to stay here, and that's just life. So, I think it could be a really powerful storyline, especially because that's something that I've gone through. I'm out of college now, lost touch with many of the friends who I would have said, like, we were the Greendale 7, I felt so close to these people that, like, we're family. But that happens with life, right? People move on, people move, they do different jobs, and you lose touch over time. So, maybe just it's me particularly, but that kind of storyline where they all came together would, like, really touch my heart. Please, 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 if anyone at NBC or whoever owns the rights to this series, it's all available on Netflix now, so if you want to go watch it. And actually, they are also releasing episodes on YouTube. So you can literally, there's no excuse. You can go watch it. I'll link to the channel in the description of this video. Go watch it. It's a fantastic show. So much heart and soul, so much witty writing, a love of pop culture that borders on like Tarantino-esque. Such a fantastic show. So whoever controls this franchise, please, please, please make this happen. Allocate the money that it takes to allocate. If any of the actors, can see this, like, clear your schedule, do something for this, because this is something we all desperately want, and you desperately want it as well. This was one of the greatest shows of all time. So to be part of that, no matter what you have going on right now, is an honor. So, anyway, it's my 2 cents. Wanted to make a video talking about this. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll make some more community content, legitimate community content, sometime. Coming soon, as I always say. So, thank you, and talk to you guys then.